What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. Now, I'm Alex, and this video I want to talk about if people would get upset if Rocksteady's next game is Suicide Squad. Now, we talked about in the last video on Rocksteady, and by the way, these are Rocksteady-specific videos. I like to make them every 2-ish weeks, mainly just solely speculation, actually, because we really don't know which game, whether it be Justice League or Suicide Squad, that Rocksteady is going to make. But if you guys do enjoy me talking about Rocksteady as opposed to Batman or really anything else, make sure you guys are leaving a like, make sure you guys are subscribed, and have that bell icon turned on. You guys have always supported this channel. I've always supported these videos, and I honestly do greatly appreciate it. And with a Suicide Squad game, again, last video I made, we talked about what we can expect from the full reveal of whatever the game is. You know, when Rocksteady comes out at their showcase, if they have one online, which I do believe, I've been saying it since the very beginning that I think they will. If they do it, what's the game going to be, obviously, but how much would they show? And how much would they show in contrast with Batman, the Warner Bros. Montreal game, also the Harry Potter game, which is kind of similar, but definitely outside of the realm, obviously, of superheroes and supervillains, so you don't have to worry about it as much. But how much would you show? And in that video, I think I focused specifically on Justice League, and I've always kind of leaned that way. And in that video, a lot of people were saying, hey, I thought the rumor was Suicide Squad. The rumors have been both. I don't know. I tried to look up as much as I truly could why people were saying that. To my knowledge, it's always kind of been a back and forth thing between, hey, Justice League, like they may have seemingly, I've seen a lot of articles where it's like Rocksteady may have seemingly leaked its Justice League game. And I've seen other ones of Suicide Squad, and it kind of goes back and forth like that. Really, there's been nothing. Nobody said anything on it. And like I've even said, Jason Schreier specifically, weirdly enough, has never said it, right? In his tweet where he announced, you know, that Warner Bros. Was going to have or at least a show, a full-on show at E3, he even said Batman, meaning Warner Bros. Montreal. He said Harry Potter, but then he said Rocksteady's game. He didn't say the name of it. I think that's obviously a really big, that would be a really big news story, the first person that gets word of it. And honestly, nobody truly knows at this point. So let's take it a step further. Now, we've talked about what a Suicide Squad game could have in it, and I do want to revisit that and talk about that again. I will over the next coming weeks and months. We've talked about Justice League. I think the question I want to have for you guys today is, how upset would people be if it's Suicide Squad? And I honestly feel like there's two camps. I feel like I would be in the boat, the camp of people not upset, honestly, at all. I would understand why people would get mad. People would want Justice League. People want us. And by the way, I want to see it too. Okay, I want to see it. I want to see how Wonder Woman would play and act in a game. I'd want to see a good Superman game. I'd want to see Flash, Aquaman, all these characters. And I would want to see them all come together under Rocksteady. That'd be really, really cool. But at the same time, you take what you get. And if you guys watched the video I made a little while ago, like a week or two, I talked about a Green Arrow game. And in that video, the big crisis situation I talked about with the gaming industry was, I think when you really look at it, there's a big want for a lot of different superhero games. The want is there. We talked about Daredevil. We talked about Wolverine. We talked about, you know, individually, not only the big guns, right? Again, Flash, Wonder Woman, stuff like that. But what about Green Arrow? What about Green Lantern? What about Daredevil? Stuff like that. There are small superheroes out there, and even super villains, that people would truly, truly love. But because of the gaming industry, much like the movie industry, it's tough, and maybe they have to start out in something else in order to get their own thing. We see that a lot with movies. And with games, I think it's easier. I think you could sell a Daredevil game, a Green Arrow game, a Suicide Squad game, which is what I'm going to get back around to. You could sell that, but at the same time, is it as easy of a sell as those AAA, like that, the A-listers, right, in the big ones? And in the gaming industry, you only have so much time. I mean, consoles are constantly evolving. The gaming industry is constantly changing. These games could take 3 to 5 years to make. And so, yeah, you could set out, you could say, I want Rocksteady to make, and then list off 4 games. That could take them 20 years. We could be on the PS7. There could not be consoles anymore by the time that's all done. So it really becomes a problem when you talk about it. It really is. It actually is one of the saddest things about the gaming industry is all these things we want, we may never be able to get. And at least in the other part of the entertainment industry, we want, like, do you want Daredevil? Well, luckily for you, you have Netflix, and Netflix can make their own because you can try and cram as many characters in this universe as you can, but you can't do them all in the movies, right? So again, it's not necessarily fluid. It's a really weird and sometimes bad situation that these games, these movies, all these properties in general are in. And I think that is where people would get upset. And I understand that. So when it comes to Suicide Squad, if it was Suicide Squad, you could be saying, this was our chance. This was maybe our only chance to get a Justice League game from Rocksteady or a Justice League game in general, and they're doing Suicide Squad of all, of all things. Then again, I'm kind of going down that line of thought. I'm not thinking like that, but I can 1,000% get behind you if you do think that, right? Because it's like, again, I want to play as Wonder Woman, and by the way, me, Alex, I want to see Flash. I want to see all these characters, but at the same time, and now again, going back to Green Arrow, I think having a Suicide Squad game actually means more than just having the game in your house. So let me explain what I mean. It means more than just being able to play the game, because I think it signals, you can have these wacky, weird kind of things. The Green Arrow and Green Lantern game that everybody is like, well, it would be really cool, and done right, it could be the best superhero game, but it's a harder sell because who really knows these characters, and maybe they don't have the most iconic villains, and maybe they're going to play too much like these other, you run through all of the list of obstacles, but then you say, but you know what? We can do it. And again, a game like Suicide Squad actually, I feel like, would inject that enthusiasm and confidence in other developers and in Warner Bros. In general. Think about what it would mean if this is true. If Rocksteady comes out and says, we're making a Suicide Squad game, you can play as all these members in the story, you can play with friends online, they can join it, it's kind of like Marvel's Avengers, but hopefully better, all these kind of things, they pitch it to us, right? It's a Suicide Squad game, and you're going to have the iconic people, but you're also going to have characters maybe people just don't really know all about, right? Because it's a nice way of introducing these villains that don't really get screen time because it's a game. It's a lot easier to push them in there and to make them really cool characters. It's a whole lot easier in games than it is in movies or television, right? So you could do that, and then again, what does that show? It shows, oh my God, Warner Bros. Allowed this to happen? Because Rocksteady's owned by them. And yeah, maybe they take a hands-off approach and they say, you can do whatever you want, but actually, the way we're looking at it doesn't sound like it's like that at all. Because remember, based off of what we know, it seems a whole lot like Warner Bros. Went to Warner Bros. Montreal and said, shut down this game. You've made the, whatever. I don't know what the excuses were, but then you're going to kick off the next thing. You're going to kick off the DC universe for us for these games, but you probably need to cancel that other game. Then you need to kind of restart. Seems like that's what happened. And if that is what's happened, again, it kind of shows that Warner Bros. Doesn't have the most hands-off approach. Maybe they did at some point. Maybe they were like, you can make whatever you want. We'll give you the resources. And maybe they just got tired of Warner Bros. Montreal. But you see what I mean? No matter what, Warner Bros. Has to give the okay. They're not just going to... In fact, any publisher would need to give the okay because they're literally publishing. They're giving the money. They're distributing the copies. They're getting the money back. They're the ones that have to give the okay to push the game out. So no matter what Warner Bros. Or no matter what Rocksteady makes, no matter what it is, Warner Bros. Had to give the okay. And again, that means something. If it's Suicide Squad, that means that they're saying, all right, you know what? There was a failed movie. There's a second movie now, which is kind of a reboot of the first movie with some of the same characters and some different characters. And we're going to do this. We have confidence that you guys can do it. Make it. And again, what could that lead to? Again, I feel like the people are going to be mad. People are always going to be mad no matter what, and I get it. But at the same time, I'm honestly looking at it past even that game itself. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Yeah, do I want to play as some iconic villains and some villains I've never even heard before? Absolutely. I think that would be really, really cool. Could that be cooler than Justice League? It's possible. Could it be worse? Yeah, definitely is. Again, I'm not saying that it's not, and I would want a Justice League. I would hope that Justice League would be the next thing, or some other development team is working on Justice League. I want that. I someday definitely want that, but I'm not going to be super upset. I'm not going to give up, or I'm not going to do stuff like that if it's not Justice League, because again, I want to look at the whole picture, and the whole picture says, you know what? It could be fun to play as a Suicide Squad game in general. Maybe again, it would have the same aspects of Justice League because you'd be able to play with friends. I don't see why that would not be something included. And again, it means more than just that game. It means that hey, these side characters, maybe we can get them. This Daredevil game that sounds real, it probably is real, and that's a good sign. You guys want Green Lantern, Green Arrow, even Aquaman, like even some of the B side characters of the Justice League. And again, Aquaman maybe not B. You see the movie obviously did so incredible, but we know Batman, Superman, those are probably the top two, right? Anybody else maybe is underneath them. Hey, maybe they would honestly never get their own game because it's just not something that you could hard sell. But now with a Suicide Squad game, maybe there's a more willingness to do Wonder Woman. And again, think about that. If you guys have been watching these videos, you know me, I've kind of floated around my theory that I think Wonder Woman is the second Warner Bros. Montreal game. So again, imagine a world where we get an Arkham, a Batman game, sets off this DC universe. We get a Suicide Squad game, so we get a whole bunch of villains from Rocksteady, and then the second game from Warner Bros. Montreal is Wonder Woman. So we can start to introduce all of these different things. Maybe another studio is doing Superman. Maybe another studio is, you don't know. We know there could be another studio out there, like a secret studio working on stuff. Maybe Rocksteady has two teams working on it. We know Warner Bros. Montreal has two teams, so why not Rocksteady? Nobody's even looked into it to see if that could be the case. In fact, I bet you it could be. It very well could be. They could have two teams, but nobody's ever talked about it because Rocksteady's so silent. But we could find out when they announce their new game that, like, hey, not only are we having a new game come out next year, but we're part of this universe. Like, that is true. We're part of this Batman games universe. Like, all these development teams are like a big team together. And we also, by the way, have a second game we've been secretly working on that's closer than you guys may think. We're trying to get these games out a little quicker. That could 1000% be something that you hear them say when they announce their game. It really could. And again, think of how exciting that could be. So I see a lot of potential in a Suicide Squad game. Again, maybe this isn't the video you guys maybe wanted. I'm not talking about specifically what we would see from a Suicide Squad game. We can talk about that. I'd love to discuss that. If you guys want me to talk about that, definitely let me know in the comments. But I look at it from that. I definitely want to play a Suicide Squad game. And then also, I think it really is good news for all these kind of side character games that we all want. Would all be cool, but then we're thinking, well, would they really do that versus a Superman game? Would they really do that versus a Flash game? Because some of those characters are just easier or more well-known that they're easier to sell to a publisher or to Warner Bros. I mean, obviously specifically because they own all of this stuff. It would be easier to sell. But if Suicide Squad comes out, then maybe that means that they're willing to take more risks. And ultimately, that's how we're going to get these more creative, different kind of games that we all want, but we all kind of know that they would never really happen. This could be the first step. So guys, let me know in the comments below, do you want a Suicide Squad game? Do you think that is what Rocksteady is making? What do you think that would mean for gaming in general, at least I guess the DC superheroes, right, in general? Let me know. Make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel Podcast Now. Hit that bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I truly, truly appreciate it. New videos on Rocksteady every couple weeks. New videos on Batman, obviously, every couple days. I hope to see you all on the next one.